Weilà raga! How's it going, guys? I hope you're all doing well today. Welcome to the 4th episode of Advanced Italian. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the congiuntivo trapassato, otherwise known as the pluperfect subjunctive tense in English. Well, actually, it's not a tense. I should call it what it is, which is a mood, okay? But I like calling it a tense just because it makes it easier for myself, or I'm just going to call it the congiuntivo trapassato. Let's just keep it really easy. But anyway, that's what we'll be talking about today. Now, this is the 4th and final form of the congiuntivo, so if you're still a bit shaky on it, or if you just need a little refresher, I'll have linked down below in the description the past 3 advanced Italian videos where I went over the congiuntivo presente, the congiuntivo passato, and the congiuntivo imperfetto. And that 3rd video is actually very important because as this is a compound verb tense, the congiuntivo trapassato, we're going to need the assistance of helping verbs, otherwise known as auxiliary verbs. And what are the 2 auxiliary verbs in Italian? Avere and essere. How are they going to get conjugated? In the congiuntivo imperfetto, which is what we went over in Advanced Italian 3. I already conjugated those 2 verbs in that video, so I'm not going to be doing that today. But here is what is so great about a compound verb tense in Italian. The only things that we really have to memorize are the conjugations of the auxiliary verbs. So avere and essere, they're the things that are constantly changing with all 6, really 7, because lui, lei will count them as 2, with all 7 of our pronouns. They're changing constantly. However, the main verb, which is the verb that comes after the auxiliary verb, doesn't get changed that much. Are verbs will change from are to ato, ere verbs will change from ere to uto, and ire verbs will change from ire to ito. Now, what are these 3 things called? What are they? Don't they look really familiar? We went over these in the congiuntivo passato, Advanced Italian 2. We also did them in the passato prossimo, which is grammar basics 2. All those videos will be linked down below. What is this called? This is called the past participle form of a verb. In Italian, we call this the participio passato. It's pretty much a literal translation. So that's what these are called, the participio passato. So let's see how this actually works, okay? What I've got for you guys is the verb chiamare. It is a regular are verb, and it uses avere as its auxiliary verb. Chiamare means to call. Let's take a look now at how we conjugate it in the congiuntivo trapassato. Che io avessi chiamato. That I had called. Che io avessi chiamato. That I had called. That had is very, very important in this verb tense because that is how we're going to be doing all of our translations, with had. Because the congiuntivo trapassato is used whenever we're discussing things that took place in the past. Oftentimes when we're saying, I thought something had happened at a prior point in time, or that I wish something had occurred, always with had, okay? So that's why it's going to be popping up all over the place. Then we have che tu avessi chiamato. Che tu avessi chiamato, that you had called. Che lui, lei avesse chiamato. Che lui, lei avesse chiamato, that he or she had called. Che noi avessimo chiamato. Che noi avessimo chiamato, that we had called. Che voi aveste chiamato. Che voi aveste chiamato, that you guys or you all had called. Che loro avessero chiamato. Che loro avessero chiamato, that they had called. Now let's take a look at a phrase with chiamare used in the congiuntivo trapassato. Avresti saputo se ti avessero chiamato. This means you would have known if they had called you. Now here's the thing. Why are we using the congiuntivo even in the first place? Why are we using this mood? The reason is because this sentence, you would have known if they had called you. It's a hypothetical statement. I'm hypothesizing, I am guessing, I guess another word could be, I'm assuming that you would have known if they had called you. Maybe you were sitting right by your phone all day. If your phone went off and these people that we're talking about had called you, You would have known, but the thing is, I'm just hypothesizing, I'm assuming. I don't really know that. That's why we're using the congiuntivo, because we're always using it in these things that are subjective in nature, hence the name in English, subjective, subjunctive. They're things that we're not necessarily certain about. So that's why I don't want you to think that the only way to say that you had called is che tu avessi chiamato. It isn't the only way. You can say che tu hai chiamato, che tu avevi chiamato. You could use other verb tenses, but what we're doing here is we're talking about hypothetical things, okay? That's why we're not using those other verb tenses. Now let's take a look at another verb. We've got arrivare, which means to arrive. This is another adverb, but it uses essere as its helping verb, which means that we have to be mindful of the gender and the number of things that we're talking about. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to first say the masculine form. The second time when I'm repeating the conjugation, I'm going to say the feminine form of the verb. Even though my subtitles are going to be the way that they always are, with a slash at the end of the main verb for either an O, an A, an I, or an E at the end of the verb. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a little bit. So here's the first thing we've got. Che io fossi arrivato. Che io fossi arrivata. It depends if I, who's speaking, I being the pronoun with io, am I a boy or am I a girl? I'm a boy, so I have to say che io fossi arrivato. If I were a girl, I'd say che io fossi arrivata, that I had arrived. Now let's take a look at the next one. Che tu fossi arrivato, che tu fossi arrivata. If I'm addressing you and you're a girl, I'm going to say che tu fossi arrivata, because it matters about tu. And who is tu? Tu is you. What is the gender of you? See how it works? Then we've got che lui fosse arrivato, che lei fosse arrivata. With lui, the ending can only ever be O, because lui means he. With lei, it can only ever be A, because lei is she. Then we have che noi fossimo arrivati, che noi fossimo arrivate. It's noi fossimo arrivati when we're talking about that we had arrived, if we are a group of just guys, or if we are a group of both guys and girls. If we are just a group of girls, we will say che noi fossimo arrivate. Che voi foste arrivati, che voi foste arrivate. Che loro fossero arrivati, che loro fossero arrivate. Now let's take a look at a phrase. Pensavo che fosse arrivato ieri. And just keep in mind that in this particular sentence, I'm talking about an object. And keep in mind both objects, items, things, and people have gender in Italian. I thought it had arrived yesterday, is what this sentence means. Pensavo che fosse arrivato ieri. I thought it had arrived yesterday. We could also use this to say, I thought that he had arrived yesterday. It would depend on the context. I'm not getting too deep into that because the point of this video is just to introduce this verb tense to you. Hence, that's why we've got some pretty short phrases here as examples. But if you want to get fancy, go on ahead and do that with your own examples. You can get creative with this. But just keep in mind, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. Now let's take a look at an ere verb. The one I chose for you guys is chiedere, which means to ask, and it uses avere as its helping verb. Here's how it gets conjugated in the congiuntivo trapassato. Che io avessi chiesto. Che io avessi chiesto. Remember, keep in mind, CH in Italian makes a K sound, because there's no K in the Italian alphabet. Che tu avessi chiesto. Che tu avessi chiesto. Che lui lei avesse chiesto. Che lui lei avesse chiesto. Che noi avessimo chiesto. Che noi avessimo chiesto. Che voi aveste chiesto. Che voi aveste chiesto. Che loro avessero chiesto. Che loro avessero chiesto. Here's a sentence with chiedere, used in the congiuntivo trapassato. What I'm doing in this phrase is using the congiuntivo trapassato in the first clause, in the first half of the sentence. The second half will have something in the condizionale passato. So here it is. Se me l'avessero chiesto, avrei detto di sì. Se me l'avessero chiesto, avrei detto di sì. What does this mean? If they had asked me it, I would have said yes. So that's why we have avessero with the article in front of it, because I'm saying if they had asked me it. And anytime in Italian you say avrei detto di sì, avrei detto di no, that's how you say I would have said yes, I would have said no, or I would have said so, or I would have said not. Here's a much simpler example. Here we go. Penso di sì. I think so. If you said penso di no, it means I don't think so, or I think not. Alright, this is just a little extra thing for you guys. Now let's take a look at an ire verb. I chose for you guys partire, which means to depart or to leave. It just depends on how you're using it, depends on the context and situation. And this verb uses essere as its helping verb. Che io fossi partito, che io fossi partita. Che tu fossi partito, che tu fossi partita. Che lui fosse partito, che lei fosse partita. Che noi fossimo partiti, che noi fossimo partite. Che voi foste partiti, che voi foste partite. Che loro fossero partiti, che loro fossero partite. Now, partire, used in the congiuntivo trapassato in a phrase. Pensavo che fosse partita ieri sera. Pensavo che fosse partita ieri sera. This means I thought she had left last night. So that, guys, is everything that I've got for you today in this 4th episode of Advanced Italian. Really hope that you liked it and learned a lot. Definitely check out the blog post that I was reading off of. It's just a nice little summary of everything that I said today in written out form. And also check out the description box for links for some of those other videos that I mentioned, such as the past Advanced Italian videos. As always, guys, you're all the best. Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out this video. Always remember to spread the love, and I will catch you guys all next time. Ciao!